I don't say never forget. I say remember, because I believe that people have forgotten. And I did that, and I've been saying that for years. And there's no clearer way that we could say that we've forgotten that is when I see these leftist politicians, Justin Brennan, New York City Mayor Eric Adams, all of you doing your 9/11 posts and cheering for the entire world to send the people that they don't want to take care of right into the middle of New York City when we don't know who these people are. Is this something that would happen after 9/11? Is this something that a sane person would do? Like, we were worried. We're so worried about terrorism. We're so worried about the safety of New York City. We're so worried about all this stuff. Yet we support open borders, and we're calling the whole world, just send whoever you want here. We're not going to check them out at all. But don't worry, we're going to tap your phone, make sure you're not saying anything on social media.
That's what I mean, where, everything sounds great until you have corrupt people leading us and they turn that power inward. I think what happened with the vax is obviously illegal. We all agree on that. I think what makes me really angry about that is it's only enforced for certain people. If you wanted me to believe that the vax worked and it stopped the spread and everyone had to get it and you would lose your job if you didn't, okay, try to sell me on that. But then I look at the border and you have millions of people coming in here. They don't need to be vaxxed. You need to be vaxxed. They can get on a plane and fly anywhere. You can't get on a plane unless you show ID and you show your vaccine card. Your kids need to be vaxxed against everything to go to a public school. But now you got 20,000 illegals in New York City. They don't need to be vaxxed. That's a bigger problem. Forget about the legality of it. It's wrong. It's illegal. I think as time goes by, we're going to realize this is another stupid thing we did to American citizens. Going back to COVID, look at de Blasio, a person who wants open borders. Just like you said, let everybody in. We'll give them everything. We'll give you free phone. We'll give you free health care. We'll give you a place to stay. But we got homeless veterans sleeping on the street and under highways. My advice to these illegals, stay illegal. Because once you become an American citizen, the Democrat Party and all those politicians who claim to care about you, they're going to kick you to the curb. They're not going to care about you anymore. And while de Blasio and all these Democrats want open borders, de Blasio had no problem using the sheriff's department to establish a perimeter around his city and checking people for fever when they came into New York. A guy who's against borders, but when it came to his city and it came to scrutinizing fellow Americans, he had no problem stopping them.
So starting today, we're going to do something new in New York City. We will have checkpoints at key entry points to the city. Travelers coming in from those states will be given information about the quarantine. They will be reminded that it is required, not optional.
The Sheriff's Office, in coordination with other law enforcement agencies, will undertake quarantine checkpoints at major bridge and tunnel crossings into New York City.
Failure to quarantine is a violation of state law, and it comes with serious penalties. In fact, under certain circumstances, the fines can be as high as $10,000.
But the border, let them in. That's the biggest problem I have with these politicians. We have to live as Americans. We have to live under certain rules. They don't.
You're trying to require anybody with a job or anybody who goes to school to get the COVID-19 vaccine, but you are not requiring that of migrants that continue walking across the southern border into the country.
Well, look, our objective is to get as many people vaccinated across the country as humanly possible. And so the president's announcement yesterday was an effort to empower businesses, to give businesses the tools to protect their workforces. That's exactly what we did. But certainly we want everybody to get vaccinated, and more people are vaccinated, whether they are migrants or whether they are workers, protects more people in the United States.
But it's a requirement for people at a business with more than 100 people. It is not a requirement for migrants at the southern border. Why?
That's correct. Go ahead.
What's interesting, right? Not to go completely in politics if you're in favor or not, but Rudy Giuliani was talked about with praise. And as you know, he was the hero mayor at the time when he spoke at Ground Zero. And now he's just completely villainized. John, what do you think about that? How it's just completely changed. If he made those same statements now that he did then, what would be the appearance? What would people say?
Oh, you know it. He's a racist. He hates immigrants. He hates, I mean, we're supporting terrorists. We're supporting terrorists coming into the country. We're supporting enemies sending spies into this country. We're supporting people passing carriers into this country, openly free to come in with drugs, weapons, whatever you would like. But to say you want a closed border, I mean, still till today, Eric Adams has not said to close the border and that we need a strong border policy. He blames the Trump Republicans. And he's talking about Rudy Giuliani and he's talking about Donald Trump. But really who he's talking about is he's talking about you. He's talking about all of you who believe in this country, who believe in immigration, but believe we should have common sense immigration. All the men and women that you work with, your family members that came here, that struggled to become an American citizen, that had to take tests, that had to learn our language, had to learn how this country was founded, understand the Constitution. Immigrants are probably, and I would always think about when I would meet somebody who came here and became a cop and they came from Poland or they came from Russia. And I was like, wow, this guy's more American than me. This guy has a greater respect and understanding for this country than I do. And I would be embarrassed and ashamed about that because I was like, wow, this country really is a great country. And this guy came here and he had made a better life for him and his family. And we just slapped all of them in the face too. We did. We're slapping them all in the face with all of this. And to watch them on 9/11 sit up there and grandstand, it honestly disgusts me. It does. Yeah. It really does. And it disgusts me even more to watch all of these chiefs and all of these politicians and on both sides of the aisle. I don't even just blame the Democrats. I personally, I have more respect for the Democrats than I do the Republicans. I'm not even gonna lie. At least they tell me. At least they tell me the truth. At least I know where they are. At least they tell me what they want, what they're gonna do. And but to watch everybody sitting up there in dress uniform and pretending like they care, you don't care. If you do care, you don't care enough because you're not willing to push back or talk about any of this, right? It's more important to check my social media because I'm debunking a narrative than it is to make sure that terrorists aren't coming into this country. Me, what am I doing? I'm gonna put an Instagram page I'm gonna put an Instagram meme with the song. That's dangerous, right? But not a terrorist coming in here to blow up this country, kill people, infect people with a disease, right? And it's just exactly what it is. They're making you believe that if you believe in American values, you believe in the United States Constitution, you're the problem.
Eric, you were talking about how words matter. You know what word they never seem to mention? And you hear every single person say this. We're a nation of immigrants. We're a nation of immigrants. Are you American Indian? No, so your family came here. They forget that we're a nation of legal immigrants. We don't have a problem with immigration. I have a problem with illegal immigration, not just because my family came here and they had to be vetted. It's not just because of that. And it's not just because it's unfair to the people who are, they're being jumped. These people are jumping the line and cutting all these people off. Every person, every one of these politicians that say that borders are racist and we don't need a wall, they all go home and they lock their door. What's the purpose of having a front door? It's to keep people out, is it not? What's the purpose of putting up a fence around your house? It's to establish a perimeter and say, this is mine, and I'm not going to let just anyone in here. They all go home and they do that. But when it comes to our country, they want no wall. Nancy Pelosi said, we don't even need any barrier. We could just have grass and mow it.
Representatives in the House and senators in that body from the border areas have some serious objection to a wall because they know how detrimental it can be to the community, trade, to all the other aspects of a border. But again, let's sit down and talk this through and see what makes sense, not some commitment to a promise that we're going to build a wall and Mexico's going to pay for it. That's never going to happen. But let's talk about where a more serious structure might be necessary, where fencing will do, where mowing the grass so that people can't be smuggled through the grass.
Just like they do with the border, go after the innocent, law-abiding Americans, just like they do with the vax, illegal, ignore all the illegals coming in that aren't vetted, that don't even have the MMR vaccine, where my kid couldn't get into public school without it. Look the other way. When it comes to Americans, we are put under the microscope, and that's not done with anyone else. And they're proud of it. They're so proud to say that walls are racist, even though they all go home and they lock their windows and shut their doors.
Wall is an immorality. It's not who we are as a nation. Look, we're not doing a wall. Does anybody have any doubt that we're not doing a wall? So that's it.
Are you worried about backlash? Are you worried about backlash?
No, it has nothing to do with politics. It has to do with the wall is an immorality.
Biden just charged American taxpayers with $500,000 for his wall.
Construction work continues on a barrier surrounding his Delaware beach home. Oh, that's nice. Why? For increased security, of course. And it's going to cost taxpayers $500,000. Brian?
Yeah, so I guess the walls do work. So it's built around the side of his house. It's going to cost $500,000. I guess taxpayers are picking it up. It's a big white wall. Daily Mail picked it up, took a picture, and I think it's ironic.
All of these people have walls, and you all vet who come into your house, but we can't vet who comes into our country.